So, what were JFK's beliefs?
He was a Catholic, and his family was Catholic. I don't think they were practicing, but they were Catholics.
Okay, so they were Catholics and everything, and but I wouldn't say he was a religious man,
No.
but he got the people to like him because of his Catholic background.
Yes.
So he had more votes through the urban Catholic uh, areas.
Yes.
Right, and he was from Boston,
Boston,
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
All right, where were you during the assassination? We're going to talk about a little bit about JFK's assassination, and I want your opinion and your perspective on this event, on this assassination. But first, where were you during the assassination?
I was at school. I was in the sixth grade, and they come over the loudspeaker. They announced it, and they let us go home early. So we all got to go home. It was a sad time to go home too, though.
What school?
Oh, Jenny Smith in Newark, Delaware.
Jenny Smith,
Newark, Delaware.
Newark, Delaware.
Uh-huh.
All right. So let's talk about assassination real quick. You said uh, you were in school. You were in sixth grade. You were 12 years old at Jenny, Newark, Delaware. Um, do you know what maybe led to this assassination?
No, there's been a lot of controversy about it, but nobody ever knew what led up to it. We know that Oswald did it, and then Ruby shot him, and we think that Ruby was trying to keep Oswald quiet.
So, do you think it was a conspiracy between the two?
Yes, and I don't know why they shot him, but I don't think they were happy with him.
Okay, so it was more of a conspiracy between Oswald and Ruby.
Yes, and it might have been some other people involved. They don't know yet, but they think it might have been some other people involved. Nobody ever found that out.
Okay. Um, so he was assassinated. Nobody really understood exactly what happened during the assassination, except that Oswald and Ruby may have had a part into the assassination. But in order to keep Oswald quiet, she wanted to kill him.
Ruby shot him to keep him quiet.
Okay.
And it was on national TV. Everybody saw it. He shot him in the stomach. Just walked right up to him and shot him as he was being led to jail.
All right. Was there any big controversies throughout the 60s and 70s?
Just the Cold War and the Vietnam War. There was a lot of the hippies going on, the hippie era, so Woodstock and all that. But yeah, they had when we were in school, we used to have to duck and cover because of the nuclear bombs. They were afraid it was going to happen. And Kennedy had a part in that. They were afraid we were going to get bombed. Everybody had fallout shelters at that time and all that stuff.
And I understand about the nuclear weapons. I know that was a big scare at that time with the nuclear weapons and everything like that with JFK. And the Soviet Union's playing a big part into the nuclear weapons at this time when the Soviet Union became big in the during the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. But JFK, I do know, had a big part into this nuclear weapon aspect. There was a big scare in 1960, especially his first, start with his first term in 1961 when there was a big scare on nuclear war possibly happening. I just want your opinion, your intake on. So JFK made a promise for a new frontier, but during the Cold War, the Soviets placed nuclear weapons in Cuba, and Cuba's close to the United States. And what were some of the reactions due to this?
Oh, there was a big scare. I mean, everybody was scared. Everybody was making fallout shelters and packing food down there. We even had one too at our house. And like I said, the schools would have duck and cover practices, which scared me. I mean, I'm 10 years old, and they're doing duck and cover, and it scared me to death because I didn't know if a bomb was going to drop on us or what. So that was a scary time.
And the reason why I bring this question up is Do you think that may have played a big role into his assassination?
It could. They were talking about that. They just weren't real sure yet. They never did find out exactly because the guy that shot him got killed. So they never really knew, but it could have.
Because, like I said, I know it was a big scare at that time, and somebody may have thought, okay, well, we need to get rid of him because he's a big threat. Maybe could start a nuclear war between the United States and the Soviet Union.
Yeah, that's what it was. Everybody was
And,
scared.
Yeah, so JFK's assassination was probably one of the biggest in history, besides, of course, Abraham Lincoln and
Yes.
stuff like that being
Yes.
assassinated. JFK was probably one of the biggest ones
It was.
to be assassinated because it was kind of unexpected.
Yes.
So, what events besides the Cold War throughout the '60s, besides the Cold War throughout the '60s and '70s, and everything like that? What events happened while Ronald Reagan was in office? Like, what was going on with Ronald Reagan?
Well, I'm not sure. I do know he was a really good president, and in my opinion, he was the best president we've ever had so far. But I'm not sure about any of the controversies and things. I think I'm not sure which one of them got us out of Vietnam. I think Carter got us out of Vietnam. But Ronald Reagan was a good president. I don't remember anything
Well,
bad.
Ronald Reagan, pretty much stopped the end of Cold War and
Yes.
stuff like that.
Yes, he did.
I do know that.
Yes.
Cold War ended in the '80s.
Yes.
So, but what made him,
Such a good president.
yeah, such a good president?
He was kind, and he was a Christian, and he was just good to everybody. I mean, he went out of his way to help people and to help the military, and he was just a good president.
All right, so you would say he was probably one of the best presidents we've had.
In my opinion, he was.
In your opinion,
Yes.
from your time from between the '60s and like I said, this is from '60s to '80s.
Yeah.
He was the best president we've had between the '60s and '80s.
Yes.
He delivered us from the Cold War. We saw the fall of the Soviet Union while he was president and everything like that. But between the '60s and '80s, with JFK's assassination and Lyndon B. Johnson becoming president, behind that, what would you think his outcome was as president?
Lyndon
If-
Johnson.
Yeah. if you
Well,
can
some
remember.
people, and I'm not saying this is true, but some people think Lyndon Johnson even had something to do with the assassination so he could become president.
Okay, so at that time, you think
Yeah.
maybe he may have had something to
Yeah,
do with
I was
it?
a kid, but I heard
I
talk
know.
about that.
Well,
Yeah. So, yeah.
A lot of people may have those beliefs too about he probably became maybe hired somebody, but we don't know the answer because the
Right.
guy that did it ended
Got
up getting
shot,
shot and
right.
killed, so we don't know exactly what happened
Right.
and everything like that. But with Reagan being in office in the '80s, he served 2 terms.
Yes.
And a lot of things he did for this nation with the Cold War and everything like that. But let's talk about Richard Nixon a little bit.
Okay.
I know JFK and Richard Nixon went up against each other.
Yes.
1960 election.
Mhm.
Can you, as a kid, remember that election between Nixon and
A little
JFK?
bit. I know that my parents voted for Nixon. Both my parents voted for Nixon. We had a mock election at school, and I voted for Kennedy. But yeah, Mom and Dad voted for Nixon. So
Okay. So Nixon didn't become president. He became president after Lyndon Johnson.
right.
But let's talk about Nixon. What controversies was there when Nixon was president?
The Watergate. That's the biggie.
Okay, so the Watergate scandal.
Yes.
What's your input on this Watergate scandal?
Well, it happened in '72 to '74, and it was on TV all the time, and so it was kind of boring to me. So I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. But I do know that Nixon got blamed for a lot of it, and because of it, he got impeached.
All right. What years was Nixon president?
1968 to 1974.
Okay, so he was getting ready in the middle of his second term, right?
Yes.
In the middle of his second term when he had that scandal.
Yeah,
against
and he
him.
had to
What
leave.
what exactly is the Watergate scandal?
I think it's where they wiretapping, like they would listen on private conversations where they shouldn't have been listening.
Like
and-
private conversations, you're saying private conversations to the people in the United States, or
Yeah, they would wiretap. They would tap their phones and tap into things and listen to it, and so it was a big scandal about that.
okay, and that went on from 72 to 74,
72 to
and
74.
the result of that was he was impeached. What did you think of Nixon as a president?
Well, I don't know. I think he was a good president until all this happened, and then a lot of people say he didn't do anything, and other people say he did. So I'm not sure if he did or didn't, but he did leave office because of it.
Yeah, okay. So let's see. All right, so Nixon was impeached because he was a pretty good president. And you say the best president was Ronald Reagan,
Yes.
but I just wanted to circle back to this assassination though. I've been reading a lot about it and everything like that, and I feel like from doing the research and from doing the reading and everything, I just feel like not just I don't think Lyndon B. Johnson may have had a hand in it, but with the scare of nuclear weapons that the Soviet Union was having, and what they were doing, and what the Soviet Unions were doing, and JFK, I feel like wasn't suited to be president, and people got mad about it.
Yeah.
But who was Ruby to Oswald?
Nobody even knows. I mean, he come up out of nowhere and just shot him in the stomach on national TV, and nobody even knows how they were related or how they knew each other or anything. Maybe he was mad because he shot Kennedy. Maybe it was going around, talk was going around that maybe he shot him because he was mad he shot Kennedy.